the chambers, but the numbers seemingly not achieved yet. So we will continue with the quorum bell. If there are any members who are within the precincts of Parliament, then the bell is to alert them that the House is lacking the needed number so that they could be making their way to the House chambers. The redaction or the procedural motion by the Chairperson Budget and Appropriations Committee to have the publication period of the Supplementary Appropriations Bill from 7 days to 1 day is pursuant to provisions of the Standing Order 120. And that order is on the publication and introduction of bills. It indicates that a bill shall not be introduced in the House unless it is signed by the member or committee in charge of it. It contains the names of any co-sponsors if it is jointly sponsored. The bill, together with the memorandum referred to...
You may proceed. Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, procedural motion, reduction of publication period of a bill. Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Didi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 120, that this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Supplementary Appropriation, that is number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023, from 7 days to 1 day. Honorable Speaker, the reason for doing this is because, as I said yesterday when we were moving a similar motion, Honorable Speaker, this June is usually a very heavy month for us as Parliament and as the House, as it is also for the Executive through the Treasury, because there are so many things to consider around the same period. Yesterday we considered the finance bill. We have been considering the budget estimates. Honorable Speaker, we are still considering the county, the CARA, the equalization fund bill, and several other bills, Honorable Speaker, that are towards the public finances of this country. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, I am seeking to reduce this period, and especially lastly because the debate we'll be having on Supplementary 2 would not make any sense if we actually don't conclude the debate today. Simply because next week, end of next week is 30th June, and the year of 2022-2023 will be lapsing, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, I seek that we reduce this period so that the work we have been doing and will continue to do in regards to Supplementary 2 can actually make sense in terms of the very able chairman for Blue Economy, Water and Sanitation, the Honorable Bowen Kagongo, to second.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to second this motion by the Honorable Chair of Budget. And the Honorable Chair, as he just indicated that we have quite a number of bills constitutional bills which has timelines. Among them, the count allocation revenue bill, which is before this House, the equalization fund, and more so, Madam Chair, the appropriation bill, which is very important for this House and also for the country, so that we can have money dispersed to our constituencies and also to the counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't want to belabor too much on this. I want to second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Supplementary Appropriations Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, from 7 days to 1 day. Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, from 7 days to 1 day. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order number 9, the Supplementary Appropriation number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the Consolidated Fund and their application towards the service of the year ending on the 30th June 2023, and to appropriate those sums for certain public services and purposes. Order number 10, the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, second.
Dinyoro.
Thank you very much. I seek to move that the Supplementary Appropriations Number 2 Bill, that is National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, be read for a second time. Honorable Speaker, the bill that we are considering today, which is the Appropriations Bill in regards to Supplementary 2, is a reduction of around 24 billion Kenya shillings for this financial year that we are heading, which is year 2022-2023. Honorable Speaker, the essence of this kind of supplementary, A in A form. And Honorable Speaker, you know that is very tempting. When an MDA comes, they are not requesting for any money, they are just requesting for authorization, then it becomes very tempting to give them authority. Honorable Speaker, what we resolved at the Budget Committee is that going forward, we'll be basing the projections of A in A through the recently collected A in A, not through the projections that are made by the various MDAs. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, there is a tendency also we have seen of very low absorption rate of projects or resources in projects that has got a component of foreign funded. Any project with a component of development partners who are foreign has very low absorption rate, basically because of the processes and at some time also the delay in availing the part of the exchequer in terms of counterpart funding. Honorable Speaker, we may seek to enhance this in future by trying to be much more forward-looking in terms of when there is a conceptualization of a project, then we need to be aware of it early as government and as a people of Kenya, so that we have very resources for counterpart funding, so that then we can be able to draw on the resources that are availed by development partners. But across board, Honorable Speaker, basically, when a supplementary estimate, like a supplementary budget comes, like the one we are considering, there are always only few options. You either draw back in terms of expenditure, or then you expand your deficit. And I think we have made a unanimous decision as a country and as this House that the whole of borrowing is already too deep. We cannot actually conceptualize digging it further. And therefore, the resort that we had, Honorable Speaker, is to reduce the expenditure, though marginally, so that we do not continue over borrowing. And I want to make it also very clear as I wind up, Honorable Speaker, in the consideration of yesterday, of the same, I stated some figures, and I want to repeat them here for clarity. Last year's deficit in the printed estimates, not the revised, was Kenya shillings 860 billion. Honorable Speaker, around or before elections, 200 billion Kenya shillings had been spent under Article 223. And when you spend under Article 223 without a commensurate revenue stream for that expenditure, that clearly expands the deficit. And therefore, for clarity's sake, the deficit we have been dealing with this financial year is actually 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, which is much higher in terms of deficit to GDP ratio. On the printed, it was 6.2. It is much higher when you add in the 223. The financial year that we have been budgeting, which will be debating the appropriations bill later on today, Honorable Speaker, we have been able to draw that down from 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings in terms of deficit. And the next financial year, we are coming only to 718. Honorable Speaker, we are moving from 6.2% of our GDP in terms of deficit. We scaled that down in the supplementary one to around 5.7% of our GDP. Year 2023-2024, we have come much lower, even below the projections of IMF and the other Bretton Woods institutions. We have come down to only 4.4% of our GDP. As we go to the medium term, Honorable Speaker, we are projecting will be at the range of 3.6% of our GDP. So I want to assure these members that the role that we are playing on behalf of this House, we are playing it thoroughly. We are going to scale down on borrowing because we cannot contemplate a matter where, or a situation where, our country descends more into debt. So I want to give assurance to these members. Part of the reason we are bringing this supplementary is because we would rather postpone some development other than get into a hole that is actually hazardous. So, Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much, and I thank these members, and I want to request the very able chair for trade. Sorry, I want to request the chair for JLAC, the man from Tharaka-Nithi County, the Honorable George Morogara, to second this motion.
Honorable Sir George.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I always admire the work that the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee does, especially during these nascent years when we are trying to work towards ensuring that the government gets money so that it can deliver on its commitments. So I say congratulations to him. We seem to be progressing extremely well, and this is very important. As I move to second this particular bill, allow me, Madam Speaker, to say a few things. First and foremost, it's that we are just about to come to the close of the financial year, and the government needs this money for recurrent expenses and also for a bit of development. My words to the government departments would be that let us absorb this money before the year ends, because there is no point in making these appropriations only for the money not to be spent because of bureaucracies and other hindrances that may be there to stop the government departments from absorbing the money. Number two, it is very clear out there that the government is not going to tolerate any misappropriation of public funds. These are public funds meant to serve the public of the Republic of Kenya, and therefore, I would actually support His Excellency the President that if anyone is caught trying to misappropriate the money or in any way misapply the money, then the whip must be cracked and that person must be immediately dealt with so that the confidence of the public can be restored that their money is at all times secure. I have gone through the bill and each of the state departments has its own allocation. Let the department actually do what they are supposed to do with this public money under this particular law so that we do not have any misfeelings out there, misgivings about how the money is being spent, because this is our money. With those remarks, I beg to second. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill of the National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023 be read a second time. And while I'm on my feet, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence of Dururumo High School, Boys High School from Laikipia West constituency in Laikipia County. I also wish to recognize the presence of Nurul Fata Primary School from Kamkunji constituency, Nairobi County. Honorable members, I'll allow you to contribute. The Honorable Farah Malim, member for Dadaab.
Honorable Speaker, firstly, I want to congratulate these very able young legislators who are the chairs of the Budget Committee and the Finance Committee. They've done a fantastic job. Also wish to congratulate a very old friend of mine, Mbadi, for also giving a lot of professional insights into these debates. We are enriched, much more enriched. I, however, would want to disagree with the chairman of the budget on the issue of borrowing. Mr. Speaker, when you have an organization, a corporation that is insolvent, that is not able to operate because it has a lot of debts, there are a number of ways in which you try and deal with that. One, you can load off that organization and sell it and then pay the debtors or the creditors or the debtors in many different ways. And many of them are going to end up not getting paid their debts. The other one is that you pump in more money into this corporation. You load off certain divisions that are not profit-making. You reconstruct the management of the organization, and then you make sure that that company is able to progressively, over a period of time, begin making less losses, finally break even, and then begin making profits, and then finally becoming a very profitable organization and declaring dividends for the shareholders. The Republic of Kenya and the government of Kenya is a corporation, and the people of Kenya are the shareholders. So when we have a problem with debts, I don't think the situation should be that we should not take more debts. You take more debts. You restructure the management of public affairs. You put up more infrastructures. You enable business and all the different sectors of the economy to improve and thrive. And progressively, you're going to make profits, and the country is going to do very well. Every time when there was a Great Depression and the Americans were lining up for soups in the streets, what did Franklin Delano Roosevelt do? He pumped in money into the public sector, billions and billions. what was called the Great Deal or the New Deal those days. Today, as we talk, Japan, which is one of the most powerful economies in the country, has a public debt that is 63% of its own GDP. We have a public debt right now, total public debt, which is below 70% of our GDP. I think it's in the 60s, am I right? 62.5. The US has got an economy right now, a GDP of 24 trillion. The total US debt today is 36 trillion. 170% of its own GDP. What I think we should do, when you borrow money, even for your own business, and you use that money to go and marry a second wife or a third wife, or go and put up a big house in Karen, or go and enjoy yourselves, the consequence is bad because you're going to be auctioned. The same is also true for a government. If there's a lot of corruption, a lot of stealing at the highest level of the government itself, like what we have experienced for the last 10 years under Jubilee government, then of course the consequences becomes very bad. But if we're going to change that and have a serious prudency in the management of public finances, then we can go on an ambitious infrastructural development in this country and put up industries and do all sorts of things to make sure that we have an economy that is growing and growing at a very fast rate. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, when we got independence, a few years after we got independence, South Korea, a country where I visited and I had the opportunity of doing a program in my master's in business administration in one of their top universities there, the only thing they had those days was seaweeds as the only resources that country had at time of independence. But they got a very brilliant general called Park Chung-hee, who took over through a coup, but then who came to Kenya, borrowed $1 million from the first president of this country, and used that $1 million to travel the whole world, negotiated loans with all the developed world, sent in 3,000 young South Koreans to go and study critical fields, engineering, and came back and implemented it. Today, their GDP is 2.4 trillion. Our GDP is 100 and something billion. Because he did not steal. When you have a political class that it becomes the richest in a country, where you have the richest person in the country or the richest family is the first president's family, the second richest is the second, the third richest is, and progressively like that, then people don't have to go and invest in industries. You go and invest in politics. You go and invest in politics. So those are the areas. We've got 20 million acres of land that is idle, most of it grabbed by people who are politically connected. We have a farming community in this country that's able to turn around things. Take back that land, allocate it to 1 million farmers in Kenya. Each one of them has got a family of 10 or 8. You will see how the economy is going to go over the roof. They will produce and produce big time. We had a coffee industry in which we were producing 143,000 tons 30 years ago. Today we're producing less than 42,000. Why? Because the political class became millers, they became middlemen, they became brokers, they kept on feeding on Kenyans, the poor Kenyans, while our coffee is being sold for 2,000, 3,000 Kenya shillings outside, are being given 50 shillings now for a kilo. The coffee farmers have gone to hell, none other than a government that was there. Madam Speaker, if this country wants to develop, if we are serious as members of parliament to are able to legislate in this country and change things without any fear, without any favor, with a lot of sacrifice and patriotism, we can change this country for the better in the shortest possible time. In the shortest possible time, if you do the right things. We can invest, we can borrow heavily from outside, but invest in the appropriate industrial undertakings in this country so that this country becomes an industrial country in the shortest possible time. But if we're going to invest and take the Euro bonds and steal it, take another bond, go to commercial banks because these are the only people who give kickbacks. Go and put up white elephant projects like SGR because there's money that's going to be given in that. Then we have a problem. Then we have a serious problem. The problem is not because the nationals of these people are not hardworking. The problem is not because we don't have a potential. The problem is because you have a corrupt, God-forsaken, damned political class. And we are part of that political class, for information. We are part of that political class. So my position is, young man, you have done a good job. The MP for Kandara, am I right? Kiharu, where the great Matiba came from. But for God's sake, go back to the Hasala government and come up with the right programs for Kenyans. We cannot be in a country where the tea farmers, our tea farmers, we still have farms that are going to be in the hands of foreigners and multinationals for the next 1,000 years, and we call ourselves independent. No, take back those farms and allocate it to the same people who have the right, the indigenous people of that area. The smallholders will do a good job. But then if you also go and participate in that and take your own farm and you are a president or a deputy president or God knows who you are.
Let him have 1 minute.
And you think you can do that? That is wrong. That is wrong. And by the way, if you don't do it, I promise you today, if this government, Hasala government, does not become a serious Hasala government, I'll run for the presidency in 2027, and I'll campaign on what I'm campaigning, and I'm going to win, and your government will lose. So the best thing, what you have to do, become a serious Hasala government and address the areas I'm talking about. Give back the tea farms to the indigenous Kalenjins, poor people who have been taken over their land. I'm telling you, don't look at the relationship you're going to have with what you call the British, the Americans, whatever it is. They came, they took our lands without us giving them a permission. We want it back now. And we can produce and get more money. You have what you call, listen to me carefully. They have a whole chain. The importers are the same company. The exporters are the same company. They have what you call transfer, the resellers.
Your point has been made, Honorable Farah. Thank you. Thank you. You've made your point. Okay, half a minute.
I'm not campaigning. I don't want to run for the presidency. I'm too old for it. But if you don't do a good job, I'll run for it. The same thing. The flowers. Follow the flowers. Investigate what happens with the flowers. The prices given, our girls and boys are earning peanuts, and they're coming with those diseases because of the chemicals they use. And the prices that they use for here and the prices that they pay off there. The importer who gives us a very small price is the same organization. With the coffee is the same organization. With the tea is the same organization. The same people who are out there will give us a very cheap transfer, what do you call, pricing. We have the potential. We need that potential ourselves because we need to create the wealth in this country, not create wealth for Europe and other places, for God's sake. And not create the wealth for only 10 Kenyans who are up there. Everyone who comes becomes a billionaire and that's it. No, we don't want to do that. If we don't do that, I'll raise this 50 million Kenyans are not going to sit for another 5 years waiting for you to do what the previous governments did all the time. So hustle a government. You are noticed right now. Move very fast. If you don't move very fast, for God's sake, you're in trouble. And that's what I expect you to move fast. I expect you to achieve these things. We will support this, bottom up, as you put it, so that we can empower ordinary Kenyans and develop wealth and spread wealth out and realize the full potential of this country. We have not realized the full potential of this country.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bonchari, Honorable Charles Onchoke. You'll get a right of response, Budget Chair, at the end. But I think if we can try and make it so we don't talk too long so that other members will have opportunity. Yes, because I think it's an important... Yes. What's your point of order, Honorable Kangogo?
the Deputy Speaker, Farah Mohalim, if by whole chance he will seek to run the presidency of this country, I will seek to be his running mate. Madam Speaker, because the supplementary appropriation bill is very important. Many of these members, they have come here this morning to contribute and discuss. Madam Chair, would I be in order if we can seek that we reduce the minutes from 10, to 5, so that to give each one of us a chance to talk?
I think that's a good point, but then I think we should have moved that motion earlier, but we can just do it as a good practice, right? Yes. Okay, Honorable Charles Onchoke. Yes, yes. Please proceed. No, let's proceed, Honorable. Yes, yes, yes. But I don't want to exercise my discretion. I want to see if only if members fail to self-regulate. Yes. Member for Bonchari.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I rise to contribute to this motion and thank the chairman for budget for his excellent presentation on this matter of the supplementary budget. Madam Speaker, I'm being intimidated. I seek your protection. It's true that what you see in government accounting, all the numbers that you are treated to, are largely inaccurate, and that's what the chairman has spoken to. And this has gone on for many years, and I speak this out of experience, having worked in the Treasury, so that you're going to find many agencies, MDAs, understating some of the revenue lines. And that also can go to the expenditure side. So where we have a situation where the accounting is not accurate, we don't get the accurate information, that goes to the debt. The debt is not properly accounted for. We're not sure that the numbers we talk about are accurate. It may well be that the country is in serious debt position level. So, as we are discussing this, it will be very important going forward that the Treasury and all the MDAs improve their financial management and record keeping. The unrealistic projections are going to affect the way we manage our affairs in the country. If it's not realistic, there's going to be revenues falling short or the expenditures shooting what has been indicated in the statements and the numbers that have been approved by Parliament. The pending bills are going to be a problem as they are at the moment if they are not properly accounted for, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. One other thing, Madam Speaker, that we see going on in government is the efficiency or lack of it in managing public finances. You get a lot of stories, you hear a lot of the conversation going around about the wastage and privilege, the hemorrhage, the resources that we are collecting, so that we want to come to a level, a situation where all this is taken care of, the leaks are sealed, so that what is meant for this country comes in, is accounted for and used for the purpose for which it's intended. Whereas there might have been problems in the past, let that not be an excuse or a scarecrow or some boogeyman for not us to focus on what's happening at the moment. We should take note of what happened in the past and also be very vigilant on what's happening at the moment so that we can get and break away from the bad past and be able to play our role of oversight so that Kenyans get value for the money that is collected from the taxes. Osoro is harassing me, Madam Speaker. And one other thing that is happening, particularly in Bonchari, and I think I can speak for the whole country, the healthcare is in a problem. Not a single day goes without somebody calling from Bonchari for a medical bill that has not been paid. NHIF is not working. No public hospital is working, at least where I come from. I don't know about the rest of the country. The education is a big problem. Teachers are not paid. The monies that are supposed to go to the schools haven't gone in good time. I have a number of schools in Bonchari that are complaining not having received their monies from the Ministry of Education. So that as we are discussing these matters, Madam Speaker, we take cognizance of these very important sectors, health care, education, and they be resourced appropriately, and the monies be released and dispersed in good time so that they can serve our people, our students, so that we have a country that is moving towards economic development and growth. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Moiben, Honorable Professor Barto, I see your card here, or are you not ready? Yeah, and honorable members, like we said, let's keep it short so that more members can be able to contribute. And for those members who've already contributed, if you could kindly pull out your cards so that you can give others an opportunity to tafadhali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I became a member of Parliament, I was a teacher, so I know how to keep time. Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of the members of Moiben constituency to support the motion brought by the chair. And Madam Speaker, in as much as I am supporting, I hope that the taxes the people of Kenya are paying, we are going to feel it in our constituencies. Madam Speaker, we are hoping that we are going to see the strategies which are being used to make sure there is a fair distribution of development in the entire Kenya. Madam Speaker, in Moiben, for example, we are a farming constituency. We are looking forward to support farmers are going to get to build their capacity and to get support in their farming activities so that they can increase production and feed the nation. Madam Speaker, we still have an equal society. We have, for example, roads in my constituency. There are some parts of Moiben where the roads are still impassable. We have issues of electricity. My constituents are still using the old ways of lighting their homes. That is, they are using in my community, we call it tamambul. I'm hoping that in this dispensation, they are going to see the light and they are going to get electricity. Education, Madam Speaker, is still a problem in my constituency. And that is why, when I sit here in Parliament, I work hard to make sure that I support the government of the day, because I know it is going to make a life, it is going to change the situation in my constituency, and not my constituency alone, but in Kenya. So, Madam Speaker, I hope the government is going to put in place very serious structures to avert corruption so that the taxes we are going to pay as Kenyans are going to be used to do or to build the nation. Madam Speaker, sorry, what is the problem? I'm receiving so many lessons from here, so I don't know which one to take. Honorable.
Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Madam Speaker, I was saying, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I was saying that we hope these taxes which are going to be collected by government are going to be used prudently to make sure there is development, not just in one constituency, but equally applied to all the constituencies. The other day, yesterday, there was an equalization bill which was being brought to Parliament. And when we looked at that bill, for example, we realized that in Kenya, there are places which are 2 worlds apart. There are some places which are very far in as far as development is concerned. And yet, all of us belong to this Kenya. So it is because of an equal distribution of resources since time immemorial that we have found ourselves in this situation. And I was even giving a situation of Moibane, which was not even captured in that equalization fund. Yet we still have roads which are impassable. We still have schools which are still using mud classrooms and with no electricity, with no water, and yet we are Kenyans and we live in Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, I was proposing that as we take away this, as we tax the Kenyans, let the money be used or be distributed equally so that everyone gets a share of the cake of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable members, the interest is widespread. I wanted to put a question that if it's by the leave of the House, we can have only 5 minutes for every speaker. Honorable members, I put the question that we only allocate 5 minutes to every speaker. As many of the opinions say aye? Aye. As many of the opinions say nay? The ayes have it. Proceed. Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I will not have a chance to have the many minutes you had now that you moved that motion. But let me begin, Honorable Speaker, by thanking you and also thanking the members. This season of budget, we have seen a lot of very high quality debate in the House, and I really want to love the members for that. Back to the matter of the supplementary appropriations, I would wish to say that, of course, these are the normal ways of mopping up monies that were not used within a financial year, and which then the government mops to see how to reallocate them and align the monies with the law and the Constitution as required by the PFM Act and the laws that govern budget. I want to laud the chair of the Budget Committee for having done a good work and having explained exactly what all these monies are about. But I would wish to say 2 things in a hurry or 3 things in a hurry about this. Number one, it is true that the budgets are estimates and therefore they cannot be exact. And that's why at the tail end of every financial year ending, we end up with these appropriations that mop up the other funds. But I want to be specific about the A&A monies, which most of the MDAs are not declaring in full. And this is where, Honorable Speaker, we are beginning the corruption. And this has been going on for the longest period of time. That MDAs don't declare the full amount that they're able to actually collect at their point. And therefore wait until when the government has given them enough monies throughout the year and then declare them later on so that they're allowed to spend these monies. And that's why you'll notice that between now and 30th of this month, there'll be a lot of workshops for all the MDAs we have and easy spending and furniture buying and things like those ones, which is something that needs to be fixed. And I want to tell the chair of the budget that this is something that has to be fixed and this parliament must fix it so that we control and we are able to give the correct estimates of what is collected by the MDAs at A. Number 2, I want to speak about the projects that are co-funded by foreign aid, and which have actually really punished it. Honorable Speaker, currently we have over 700 billion which we borrowed from outside, and which is attached to support by the Exchequer, which we have not given our part of the deal. And therefore, we are being not only surcharged for not using those particular loans, while at the same time we are not using the loans. So we have money outside there which the government committed to give its part of the bargain, but has not done so. I think this is one area again where the chair of the budget and budget must take care, because I rein in the individual ministries to see who are these ministries that are unable to absorb their monies, even after we have already signed the deals for the loans or for the foreigners to give us their part of the bargain. And if anything, some of them are dangerously done because they are only done for the sake of kickbacks. And therefore, we get the loan far much earlier than the time we are ready to spend. Finally, Honorable Speaker, let me just make a reply, a small talk about what you talked about yourself, about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That must have been 1933 to 1939. But I really thank you, because most of the things you talked about when Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who is an extraordinary president of America, having ruled for a longer time than any other president would do, he brought in what maybe you did not mention, called the 3 R's. And the 3 R's, he was really going for relief for the unemployed and the poor. And possibly I see this government very keen about relief for the poor and the unemployed. And you saw yesterday, it's about, can we create more employment and more employment? And that's why I was happy with you when you said, let's give them a chance. He also went for relief for the elderly, and which I saw a lot of it in the budget. And it seems, be that as it may, that we are on the right track. But above all, Honorable Speaker, in the last hour, he talked about the relief and support for the farmers. And I think that's what I'm seeing this government do. And that's how Franklin Delano Roosevelt was able to turn around the economy of America at a time when there was the Great Depression. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to support the Supplementary Appropriations Bill number 3. And Honorable Speaker, I want to make the following observations. One, Honorable Speaker, even though this House, through the departmental committees, appropriate resources to MDAs and ministries, we have observed that the House does not engage in proper oversight and implementation of these budgets. And this is the reason why, Honorable Speaker, you realize that towards the end of the financial year, a lot of MDAs have not even begun implementing development projects. This is actually the reason why, in the end, you find that these supplementary budgets reallocate resources because they have not been spent. So I would like to urge this House to ensure that even though we allocate resources, we follow up to ensure that the projects are being implemented on the ground. The second observation I wanted to make, Honorable Speaker, is that there is continuous overestimation of revenue projections. Each and every year, Treasury says we are going targets. I think it is time that we insist as a House that revenue projections are realistic, and that what is projected is what is actually going to be achieved. It is not rocket science, Honorable Speaker. This is something which we can do. We know what KRA is doing. We know the capacity of our economy. So we should never allow figures to be brought before this House that are not able, will not be realized. Because this is really what's affecting this, the budget implementation. Because when you say you are going to collect this amount of money and you don't do it, it means that the promises you gave to the people on the ground in terms of public participation, some of those projects will not be achieved, and it will affect the people on the ground. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, is that we have noted that there is continuous misuse of Article 223. Honorable Speaker, this House is investigating misuse of this article. And I know that there are committees that are investigating usage of this article in the previous regime, and reports are going to be presented in this House. But even though this is ongoing, we are still seeing government still using this article inappropriately. And I think this is also something which we said, Honorable Speaker, that we should never allow as a House. Whatever the justifications, I don't think it is appropriate for this House to allow government to spend money which is not budgeted for. Unless it is serious emergency, but the resources that have been used in on this budget in the area of Article 223 is not making sense. I don't think the government should have done that. I think let us be strict as a House and insist that the budget as approved in this House is what needs to be implemented. The third observation I wanted to make, Honorable Speaker, has to do with the absorption of donor-funded development projects. Honorable Speaker, this is a crisis. And Honorable Speaker, from my previous background, I worked in the banking sector. And I can tell you, Honorable Speaker, that donor-funded projects does not move very fast. They do not move very fast because of the involvement of the donors themselves. Because when a donor is giving you resources to do a project, they want to participate in the procurement process. They want to ensure that the company implementing the projects are their own companies. They want to regulate, how resources flow. And this is affecting development projects. Honorable Speaker, in my constituency, there's a project which is funded by World Bank. And this project has dragged over the years beyond the period which the project was supposed to last. And each and every year, the government has to go back to the donor to request for extension of the project period. And if you look at the reasons why this project has delayed, it is purely because of the donor misbehavior. So I think if we are going to rely on donors to support our projects through loans, then we need to ask our technocrats in Treasury to define the procedures that should be used to fast-track these projects. Otherwise, we are going to have huge development allocations from donors which we will never spend and which, in the end, is going to hurt the performance of our economy. Otherwise, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank my chairman, my able and competent chairman, Honorable Mdindi Nyoro, for a wonderful presentation of this report. Thank you.
Honorable Bowen Kangogo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to support this supplementary appropriation 2. And Mr. Speaker, like the chair of budget said, that this is just a realignment from the previous supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, there is a lot which is still required, especially in the education sector. Mr. Speaker, there is a very little disbursement, especially on capitation of our primary and secondary schools. And with the passage of this supplementary appropriation bill, Mr. Speaker, is going to help, especially our schools which are really struggling because of liquidations. Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of pending bills. This government engaged a lot of contractors. People have been in the fields working on different projects. And with the passing of this appropriation bill, those people are going to be paid, Mr. Speaker, because some of them, they have taken loans, and there is need for them to be paid because of the work they have done. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the donor-funded projects. Like the Honorable Attorney said, that most of these donor-funded projects, they come with some conditions. Mr. Speaker, I'm the chair of Blue Economy and Water. And if you see, many of the stalled projects in water are donor-funded projects. These are projects which comes with a condition that the contractor must be from that country giving us the donors. For instance, we have a case of Italian cooperation projects, which has many of them, they have stalled because they are seeking to have Italian contractors to work on these projects. And this one, and it's not possible to operate, for them to operate from Rome and work or implement projects which are working in this country. Mr. Speaker, again, on the big projects, I think, Mr. Speaker, the ministries, before they engage on the huge projects like the dams in this country, there is need for them to acquire the land first. Because you will find that the contractor is already been contracted, is given, he has an active contract, is supposed to move to the site, but you'll find that the land acquisition is not there. So it delays the entire process. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk on the issue of consultants. If you look at how much the government is paying in terms of consultants, you will find that a project has a consultant money even bigger or even much equal than the project itself. I want to ask the Honorable Chair of Budget to look into this, because there is no way you can have almost a half of money for a project going towards consultants. When the government also, for instance, Mr. Speaker, in water projects, the government, they have so many engineers in this country. But you will still find that the amount of money given out for consultancy is more than even what is required to develop those projects. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the committee of the Public Accounts Committee, what is the role of Public Accounts Committee reports vis-a-vis the budget-making process? Mr. Speaker, you will find that we have tabled so many reports here, public accounts reports showing misappropriation of funds in our ministries and the MDAs. But during the budget-making process, those reports are not factored in to make sure that the ministries and the MDAs, which they have misappropriated a certain amount of money, that money should be reduced equal to what the budget, the BSC reports is reported. Mr. Speaker, on issues of borrowing, Mr. Speaker, we support that we cannot continue borrowing. But at times, Mr. Speaker, if there is need for us to borrow, let's borrow and use the borrowed money to specific projects which are meant, to which the borrowing was meant, and to avoid cases where we borrow and that money gets lost without any tangible project. I want to support, Honorable Speaker.
Badi, MP for Changamwe.
Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ni mjumbe wa Jomvu. Jomvu imekatwa kutoka Changamwe, ndio tukapata Jomvu, na kutoka wakati Jomvu ilipoundwa mwaka 2013 mpaka leo, mimi ndio mbunge wake. Kwa hivyo mimi ni mbunge wa Jomvu wa kudumu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nashukuru, nataka kuunga mkono mswada huu na vile vile kumpongeza Mheshimiwa Ndine Nyoro kwa ile kazi nzuri ambayo amefanya. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, pia nachukua maneno yako ambayo umeweza kuyaongea juu ya nchi kama Korea na nchi nyingine. Ni majuzi tu Mheshimiwa Spika, maneno yako ni ya kweli, kwa sababu tulikuwa nchini Korea. Ndani ya Seoul peke yake, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna madaraja 32 katika river, ambayo ile ni hali ambayo tumeiona ya maendeleo sana. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, yale ambayo yanafanyika katika nchi nyingine, tunatarajia na sisi tukipata pesa zetu tutaweza kupeleka pesa hizi kwa miradi ile ambayo imetengwa kuifanyia kazi, sio kufanya ufisadi na pesa zile. Kwa ajili bajeti hii ya ziada ama supplementary budget, Mheshimiwa, tukiangalia ni mpaka tarehe 30 mwisho wa mwezi ndio mwisho wa kumalizika kwa mwaka wa bajeti. Kwa hivyo ni wakati mzuri kuona kama wenzetu vile walivyosema kuwa pesa zile zinapelekwa kwenye miradi na kutumika vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi leo nazungumzia kuhusu Jomvu. Jomvu kuna mahali kunaitwa Jomvu Madafuni, ambapo kulitengenezwa barabara project A109 kutoka Baroda kuja ikamalizikia hapo Madafuni. Mheshimiwa Spika, pana kipande cha mita 800 peke yake. Hata makamu wa rais Mheshimiwa Gachagua alipokuja kuzindua mradi pale Bonje, alizungushwa mpaka Changamwe kilomita 5 na mahali ambapo ni pa mita 800 pa kupita kufika kwenye mahali pengine ambapo anakwenda kufungua mradi. Nasema hivyo kwa maana wale watu wa serikali walikuwa hawataki makamu wa rais yaone yale. Lakini uzuri nilisema mbele yake. na nikaeleza mbele yake kwa nini alizungushwa. Ni kwa sababu asione pale mahali pabovu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mahali pabovu hapo pamefanyika maandamano na watu wangu pale wakilia. Mimi nasema haya kwa sababu pesa hizi zikipatikana zisifanyiwe ubadhirifu. Pesa hizi zipelekwe kwenye miradi ile ambayo inastahili. Na moja ya mradi ambao wastahili ni kumaliza hicho kipande cha Jomvu Madafuni ili kuona kimeweza kutengenezwa katika hii bajeti ya ziada. Nasema haya Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu pesa katika mradi ule kuna pesa kutoka African Development Bank. Pesa katika mradi ule kuna pesa za European Union ambazo ziliwekwa, lakini leo zimefujwa mpaka leo watu wanadai. Kuna watu katika sehemu ya Nakol ambayo mimi Mwenyezi Mungu akinijalia siku ya Jumanne nitaleta petition yao hapa bunge, kwa kuwa waliweza kuondolewa na pasi na kulipwa na wakati pesa ile iko. Kwa hivyo tuna hofu pia pesa hii kupatikana alafu iende katika njia ambayo itakuwa sio. Mheshimiwa Spika, ufisadi katika Kenya umekithiri sana. Leo kuna kampuni ati katika hapo mahali imeenda kuchukua kotoda inaitwa Synergy Gases ya negotiate na serikali, alafu kisha mwenye kampuni ataiambia serikali na kupunguzia milioni 50. Mimi sijaiona kuwa private entity iweze kusamehe serikali, isipokuwa hii ni negotiation ambao waliifanya na National Land Commission na watu wale wa Kenha. Kwa hivyo naiomba serikali kuona kuwa Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro kazi nzuri anayofanya, pesa hii ikipatikana iende pale kwa ile miradi ambayo inaweza kupatikana. Na vile vile na kupongeza Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti kwa kazi nzuri kuonesha tajriba kama kijana kusimamia katika bajeti ya Kenya. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika na Mungu aibariki nchi.
MP for Kilifi North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this supplementary appropriations bill, and in supporting it, I know when I was on the other side with my brother Mbadi, we used to be very critical about 223 and why it should not be used by governments, because we always felt that, one, it is one of the ways that propelled corruption. Two, we felt that it is the wrong way to manage a government and to manage finances in a government, because you're giving an opportunity for people to spend money the way they want without regard to the law passed in this parliament. And I agree totally that it is the wrong way to do. But then coming to this supplementary 2 that we are doing today, I think it is necessary now that we finish this 223 this financial year. So I would like to urge the implementers of government budgets, while this year we are doing it, supplementary 2, we would like to see that in future we do not have a supplementary 2, and that this article is disabused, so that we do not have the abuse that goes on in government offices because of that. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this. There's a lady called Marjorie Olude Magoye who wrote a book called Coming to Birth. And in that book, he says a birth is a very difficult process, because before the birth, there has to be a pregnancy. And that pregnancy sometimes gets complicated, sometimes you lose hope, sometimes things do not. But the most important thing that you look at forward to is that a child is born. But coming to birth is a process. This country is coming to birth. But the process will be painful, will be difficult, will go under the hills, under the valleys, will go all through those places. But I'm very optimistic that with this budget that my friend Ndindi Nyoro is midwifing, and that our dear brother Kuria is midwifing the finance bill, I think this 13th Parliament will be counted as those that helped this country to come to birth. And I want to ask us, as a country and as a parliament, to look forward to the better days. It will be difficult. The pumps, the fuel at the pumps will be high. Many other things will be, but we need to look at the bigger picture, the long term. Why are we doing this? The long term is more important than the short term. The short term will be painful, but the long term will be gainful, and this country needs to look to that. Honorable Speaker, we are making reductions and we are making additions, and we're doing that in this appropriations bill that we're dealing with. But as we are doing this, I want from the podium of this parliament to tell government officials that have been given the responsibility to spend government money, to spend it wisely and for the benefit of the country. I want to ask government ministers and PSs whose docket this money will be put in to sit there and look at this money not as theirs, not as their families, not for their mothers, but money for the people of Kenya that must be spent prudently, properly for the growth and development of this country. That's what we want to see. And as a house, we have the oversight responsibility that I would like the committee chaired by John Badi to call them and ask them and put them to task. We want greater accountability from ministers and from PSs so that at the end of it, Kenya is proud because we have a team that can take this country forward. The president has goodwill, and the president wants this country to move forward, and he is taking bold and sometimes dangerous steps. But the end game, ultimately, this country must rise and must come to birth in a fashion that everybody will be happy. Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask members here to cooperate with the chairman of the Budget Appropriations Committee. We pass this bill, we pass the other bills, and sit down and say, now let's make sure all of us work and support this government to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to take this country to the next level and to ensure the hustlers of this country are proud because we have taken them from the bottom to the higher end, because that's what we want, and that is what we want to achieve in these budget processes that we're doing. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
MP for Kachiliba, Lote.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I am rising to support the passing of this supplementary appropriation bill, number 2, with the following. Mr. Speaker, if we look at the reasoning of us having supplementary budgets, is for purposes of us trying to get a bearing from the budgets that have been done before, collecting and redirecting resources to the most appropriate area, Mr. Speaker. It is sad, Mr. Speaker, that as a House, we sit to look at budgets, approve them, and then allow the executive to be able to manage these budgets in a proper manner. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, it becomes so saddening that when we sit here and be able to present our budgets and be able to approve these budgets, the executives sit and not do anything apart from running from one venue to another one with the tag of development, only for them to actually come to this House at the end of the financial year to ask for supplementary budgets. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that if you look at every government offices now, as we come to close to the financial year, this is the time when you hear ministries, you hear departments asking that IFMIS be extended beyond the period that is supposed to. Why is it that at this point is when we ask that let IFMIS be allowed to be open? This is the time when there's a lot of traffic in our IFMIS systems in this country. Because for a whole year, most of the executive officials will run from one venue to another one without knowing that we've given them these budgets for them to be able to deliver to the people of Kenya. If you look at the expenditure that comes at the tail end of the year, Mr. Speaker, most of these expenditures are not for development, Mr. Speaker. Most of them will want to print T-shirts. Some of them will want to actually even travel from one venue to another one in the name of workshops, at the expense of the development that these budgets are supposed to do. Because most of them are afraid of returning the monies, and so they want to show that they can be able to spend. Because of that, they put these monies in things that are not going to develop this country, Mr. Speaker. And so I want to say that as we look through supplementary appropriation in future, we need to look at it in a manner that we see that resources are directed to the things that will help this country move forward and not the officials stay very comfortably. Mr. Speaker, we are also aware that this country is managed by the executive wing through the PSS down to directors. Mr. Speaker, it is sad, and I'll say this, that resources are always directed, most of the time, to areas where these officials are coming from, Mr. Speaker. People of Kashaliba who do not have a lot of people sitting in offices do not get resources, despite the fact that I sit here as a member of parliament and actually approve this appropriation. But when it goes to the officers there, they do not know Kashaliba, and there is no person from Kashaliba that sits to say at least some of these resources go there. That is why we are asking, can these resources be directed equitably across the country and not from the angle of where do I come from? We will want to talk about this because there are areas that are continually being marginalized despite the budgets because of the fact that they do not have people sitting in big offices. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I will want to say this, that there are a lot of projects that the government have started. But surprisingly, if you go to our highways, for example, our highways are well done, but immediately the highways start to wear out, nobody is actually trying to put resources. And I don't know if it's our disease of the Africans or what, there are no resources that are put to maintain already made projects. So I'll actually want to laud the budget committee chair and the budgets that have been put, but also to say that let us not continue developing, initiating new projects if we have not been able to finish the projects that we started, and that if we are also not able to put resources, Mr. Speaker, to be able to maintain some of the projects that have been done in this country. So it is sad that you have a good road, and when there's a pothole, we want to do another new road, and yet we cannot continue maintaining the one that we did before. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this appropriation.
What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I am looking at first of all, I must thank the members who are here present, because you know, the time we left the House chamber last night, and I know this bill has elicited a lot of interest, but Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at the order paper, and I see that the next bill is also a bill on the same issue of money and budget, and I think the members who are present in the House would want to contribute because there is a lot of interest, but it is the same, it talks to the same thing. So I am standing on standing order number 95-1, and I'm asking that the mover be called to reply so that we move to the next bill, and the other members will be given the opportunity to contribute to this bill in the next bill. In the next order, Mr. Speaker, I submit. Put the question.
Okay, the Honorable, your point is taken, and the chair will act appropriately accordingly, but let's hear from Honorable Mbadi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say much on this bill. I just want to start by mentioning the following. That Honorable Ndindi Nyoro is actually the 6th chair of this committee, both the current Budget and Appropriation Committee and the predecessor committee. The first one was Martin Ogindo, then we came to Elias Mbau, then Mutava Musimi, Imani Chungwa, Kanini Kega, and now we have Ndindi Nyoro. I must say that Ndindi Nyoro is coming out. I want to repeat this again as a very good member of this committee, because you explain a lot to members to understand what is contained in the budget estimates. But allow me just to say the following, Chair, Mr. Speaker. First, Public Accounts Committee has a responsibility, yes, and as the chair of that committee, I give my guarantee to this House that by mid-July, which is next month, you will receive the first report from our committee of 2020-2021, and we intend to complete 2021-2022 by October this year, so that from next year, February, we'll be dealing with those accounts which were presided over by the current principal secretaries. Therefore, that will enhance accountability. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the chair that certain expenditures under recurrent are actually capital in nature, and that education is one of them. Actually, I've been saying before that education, we should consider looking at it as a capital expenditure, because there is nothing as important. Investment, there is no investment as important as investing in education. But Mr. Speaker, I want the chair of the Budget Committee to be looking at the luxury lines all the time when we are doing the budgets. And the luxury lines are basically four. That is the domestic travels, foreign travels, hospitality, and then fuel and maintenance lines of our budgets. This is where we have a lot of wastages. But I also want to appeal to this House and the country at large that we need also to consider what is happening in the counties. There is overemployment in the counties. You find a new governor coming into place and hiring drivers, and the drivers who were used by the previous regime are earning a salary without vehicles to drive. Really, the role of a driver is to drive a vehicle. So if you have put a driver to earn a salary without a vehicle assigned to that driver, honestly, this is serious wastage. I don't know whether it is what kind of fear that they have, that they end up now fearing the drivers of the previous. I wonder whether the drivers would want to kill them and in the process also kill themselves. But Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the problem again in this country, and you see, we need to employ prudent, efficient, and effective utilization or application of our resources to realize economy in the use of resources. I am disturbed, Mr. Speaker, with the two things. Emerging cases of corruption. When we were campaigning in the last election, both sides were in agreement on one thing, that this country is at a difficult period in the history of this country, in terms of debt repayment, in terms of generally managing to pay for government services. That we were in agreement. And we agreed that we need to do something on wastages. That was also agreed. Probably where we disagreed is how to actualize the same. Fight against corruption must be prioritized. Mr. Speaker, we are seeing financing of luxury. That is what is bringing this country down. We are financing luxury and bloated government. There is no need to enlarge the size of this government any further. We have too much government in place, both at the national level and at the county level. Kenyans are overrepresented. Kenyans feel overburdened by government, a very heavy government weighing on our people and sinking this economy. We need to reduce the size of government, not by retrenching people, but by not creating any additional offices. There are unnecessary wastage of resources. And luxury, and I want to be very clear, my last comment. You find a cabinet secretary downtrodden everywhere. And like the one for where Honorable Kagombe comes from, the one for trade. Honestly, I don't even think he represents this country. If what he's saying locally, Mr. Speaker, causes a lot.
Mogaka, MP for West Mugirango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to also support this supplementary estimate appropriation number 2. And before I do so, permit me to also join my colleagues to thank the chair of the Budget Committee, as well as the chair of the Finance Committee, for navigating the country and this House to where we are today. This is the very first ever finance bill for this government, a bill that has attracted interest, unprecedented interest, and educated the entire population on how budget making is taken through. Specifically on the appropriation 2 that we are dealing with, it is important that the government closes the remaining aspects of the previous budget, so that as we go into 1st July, we start on a new slate on the 2023 2023-2024 budget, which is going to be a game changer. It is going to be a game changer right from this House, but it takes this House to make the executive responsible for implementing the projects as budgeted for. I want to ask all members of this House, in our collective oversight role, let us drive and oversight the executive of this country to ensure that Kenyans get value for their budget. I am particularly excited about this budget, and under Article 27 of the Constitution, every Kenyan should be treated equally. And the discomfort that we were having about the 8% VAT was actually very discriminatory, because the users of petroleum products were the only ones paying 8% VAT, when the rest of Kenyans, including mamambogas who buy kibiriti, are paying 16% VAT. That amendment that we made yesterday equalized all Kenyans, so that under the VAT Act, every Kenyan is treated equally, pays equal VAT, irrespective of what product they are going to purchase. Under this budget, and I encourage our chair, Ndindi Nyoro, to be hands-on in driving and ensuring that our infrastructure, particularly those that are ongoing, are completed. I want to see under this budget that the pending ongoing projects in my constituency, whether it is Nyaisa Secondary School, Nyansabakwa Secondary School, Nyamtentemi Secondary School, Senator Kebaso Secondary School, we want to see completion of these projects so that our constituents can start enjoying value for the taxes that they are going to pay. I want to support this bill and promise Kenyans that I will do my part as a member of parliament to do the oversight and ensure that Kenya very soon joins Singapore and South Korea as one of the most developed countries. I support.
Wanyonyi of Kwanza.
You're behind me. Okay, thank you. Madam Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want on onset to agree with the present of this appropriation bill. But first and foremost, I think my own observation, Mr. Speaker, is that we have, I think it's lack of discipline in this country. We are getting out of hand. The discipline in this country is not, the way we expect to be. First of all, look at A&A, where you find resources are actually misplaced, misused, because you get whatever you are getting, and that resource actually is misplaced. No wonder, and I think that this House has a duty. We are now bringing CSS to come here and answer. So we must now do what we're supposed to do as a representative of these people, of our people, to ask the CSS and what have you to answer to some of these things, because you find that the generation of some of the resources are actually misplaced. And I want to agree with the Honorable Mbadi, the way he talked about people now even employing people are not necessary in town organizations. Two, we must also generate our own income. And the Speaker, I agree with you. I think years back, we had the Koreans actually come in this country to borrow money to do the work there. During, I think those are days of the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And yet today now we find that the debt is actually up to 62% from what I've been told. Why? Because people are not serious with that as they're supposed to be doing. We have, for example, people are not, we have enough resources in this country. The climatic change, of course, is there, but we find that in this country, we are able to produce our own food. Today, and we, through what we have gone through the drought, imagine we importing food from Egypt. We importing food from Egypt, yet if you look at Egypt compared with Kenya, Kenya, for example, Lake Basin, where most of these people are coming from, has almost, there are 8 rivers in Lake Basin, and we can be able to do irrigation. Egypt has only got 1 river, and yet this country, Mr. Speaker, import rice from Egypt compared to what we have here. I worked in Lake Basin, for example, and I can tell you that we have enough resources. Even that Lake Basin alone should be able to afford this country and even be able to export some of the food that are produced in these areas. And you can imagine us importing rice from Egypt, a country that has got only 1 river. And yet here, apart from, of course, Lake Basin, which has got 8 rivers, and I can name them, you know that. We could be able to do irrigation in that area, but we are not able to do that because people have just taken it lightly. So we just have to work as Kenyans. We have enough resources here. We have very good climatic change. And therefore, as matter of discipline, Mr. Speaker, we should be able to fit ourselves and be able to export, to be able to do 1 or 2 things for our country. Lastly and not least, imagine us having a debt of 6.5%, and it's because of corruption. Nothing else. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, we actually should do something about this so that we can be able to direct the resources to the right place, not misdirecting the resources. And that's why we are having problems, and that's why we are having debts that actually up to 62% is unbelievable. But that's what you have been told, and therefore I support this appropriation appeal, and I hope that Kenyans at least once, let's get disciplined and be able to direct our country, be able to export. Look at the tourism, for example. It's only going down compared to what we had in the past. Now that we don't get enough tourists in this country, and when they come, they are taken to places that are not supposed to be taken, and they don't come back. I support.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Yes, what's your point of order?
Are you?
Once again, Mr. Speaker, you know, this week and the past week, we've been discussing the budget and the appropriations and all these things, and we have properly executed a lot of issues on this floor. And the next motion, Mr. Speaker, is still about what we're discussing now. And I know members have expressed interest. And hold on, Honorable Okello. So I'm requesting, Speaker, that you call the mover to reply so that we move to the next order, and which is the same, and members are going to address the issues.
Order, Honorable Member, your point is met. I now propose the question that the mover be called upon to reply. I now put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. As many not appear and say aye. As many contrary appear and say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I want to laud all the members who have contributed and assure them that we were actually taking notes. Myself, I was personally doing so. From Honorable Anyonyi, Honorable Mogaka, my good brother, Honorable Badi, Honorable Lote Kachelimba, Honorable Owen Baya, my brother Twalib, Honorable Badi Twalib, my Honorable Kagongo, who is the chair for water, Samuel Atandi, one of the committee members, Honorable Boko Miremba, Professor Barto, Dr. Onchoke, who is also very experienced in these matters, and of course you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, just want to highlight a few things and agree. I hope the consultations can be lower. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to do it very briefly, but it is important to note some of the issues that we have had because they enrich the debate. And Honorable Speaker, today we have had a very quality debate on this matter, and especially across the spectrum of the entire economy. Honorable Speaker, some of the issues that I said before about A&A have been highlighted by their members who have taken part in the debate. And I want to bring one matter that I've heard also from Honorable Badi, the issue of having a bloated government. And I agree 100% with you, Honorable Badi. And actually what we did, and it is important for members to also listen to this. In this budget that we made of year 2023-2024, we never approved any increment in personal emoluments or PE for additional staff of government, except for a few areas. We only approved additional staff in TSC, in KMTC, in trainers of our TVETs, and Honorable Speaker, we made it very difficult for NAMDA to actually add staff. Because, Honorable Speaker, the government of Kenya has more staff than we need. What we need to do is actually reallocation. On a normal constituency, Honorable Speaker, you get there is a youth officer, there is an ways of hard officer, there is a women hard officer, there is a gender officer. Honorable Speaker, you get people, duplication of like 9 government officers serving in a single sub-county, roles that could generally be done by just a few. So what we may need to do in future, Honorable Speaker, is to be able to optimize on the resources that you already have other than adding into more. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, allow me to go back to your topic. And you got the entire 10 minutes and we learned a lot from it. As I reply, and from the benefit that I got, and I agree with you on many respects, but I want to give you reasons why we are not committed to borrowing further. The case, for example, you cited on Japan. Japan has over 250% debt to GDP ratio, or a percentage of debt in regards to GDP. But, Honorable Speaker, Japan borrows very cheaply. At some point, the 10-year board of Japanese government was actually on negative territories. Can you just imagine? They borrow money, they pay less. Secondly, Japan is a net lender. As much as we read Japan has a lot of debt, Japan is also the #1 external creditor to the US government. But also lastly, the trap of overborrowing. Japan has overborrowed, then the interest rates are low, Honorable Speaker. Most of this debt, of course, is domestic. But if you look at the books of Japanese economy, they have had no real growth since 1994. For 30 years, their real GDP has remained at 4.9 trillion US dollars. So we don't want to get into that trap where you actually don't even have inflation, you have deflation. When a country starts having deflation, it is a worse territory than inflation, because then you tell the consumers to postpone their spending. When consumers postpone their spending, generally what that means is that production goes lower. And I don't think Kenya would be very safe. And lastly also, the example you cited on the US. US, they almost had a shutdown the other day. Of course, they wanted to increase the debt, which they succeeded. But 70% of the US debt portfolio is actually internal. Therefore, they are able to manage, and also the greenback is their currency. Honorable Speaker, a luxury that we don't have. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
I don't think there's any need to ring the bell. Order, honorable members, we have quorum. Honorable members, I now put the question that the supplementary appropriation number 2 bill, National Assembly bill number 31 of 2023 be now read a second time. As many of opinion say aye. As many of opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the consolidated fund and their application towards the service of the year ending on 30th June 2023, and to appropriate those sums for certain public services and purposes. Order number 11, the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023. Second reading.
Honorable Ndindi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, that is the National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023, be read for a second time. Honorable Speaker, as even the title of the bill suggests, this is the County Government's Additional. I want to underline that, Honorable Speaker, because I don't wish to take too much time moving this motion so that more time can be spread across other members. Honorable members, the bill we are discussing is a bill on government's additional allocation to the county governments. Additional allocation means these are monies over and above the Kenya shillings 385 billion that we are allocating as equitable share. Why do we give additional allocations to counties, Honorable Speaker? Part of the reason why we give additional monies to counties, they are segmented in various areas. One, they are foreign funded programs, and especially domiciled in agriculture. And I can see the chair for agriculture is here. If you look at that additional allocation bill, Honorable Speaker, you'll find that there are many programs, because Kenya is largely an agricultural economy. There are many programs, either through loans or grants or foreigners, that is foreign funded, that actually goes into counties. These are the monies that have to come to this House, and of course emanating from the Senate, so that we give our final approval. Honorable Speaker, there are other elements. For example, when we had devolution, we realized there were 5 counties, Tharaka-Nithi being one of them, that actually had no headquarters. Honorable Speaker, when there was no headquarter or any structure to call a county headquarter, the national government felt it would not be very proper for us to commit equitable share into building county headquarters. So, for example, in the same bill, there are 5 counties that get money from GOK as grants for building or as additional revenue for building of county headquarters. And they have been funded for some time. Some of these headquarters are at 90% completion, and we funded them with anticipation that the monies we have allocated will be enough to conclude this particular area. Honorable Speaker, there are other areas in terms of conditional grants, and I am sure the members I can see are already perusing. Number 1, our report is the Budget Committee, but also number 2, the bill itself, so that we then realize what are these additional monies that we are giving to our counties. As I come to the close, Honorable Speaker, I am very elated with the kind of partnership that we are seeing between the county governments and the national government. One of the areas that will really benefit the economy of Kenya is the partnership of the national government with the counties, Honorable Speaker, insofar as building aggregation and industrial centers is concerned. Allocating 4.7 billion Kenya shillings, then counties match a shilling per shilling. That will be 9.4 billion Kenya shillings. This money's, Honorable Speaker, will be going into building of aggregation and industrial centers. And again, as I said, Kenya being a largely dominant agricultural economy, this will go a long way, Honorable Speaker, in harnessing prices for our farmers. You know, Honorable Speaker, when farming or agriculture is pegged on weather, when agriculture is pegged on seasons, Honorable Speaker, farmers are not able to optimize the best prices. Because once you have proceeds or a production from tomatoes, for example, you have no luxury of keeping them for you to fetch better prices in future. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the reason why post-harvest losses accounts for a huge loss for farmers across. Honorable Speaker, when you go to, for example, cereals, farmers lose between 20 to 30% in post-harvest losses. The highest losses, Honorable Speaker, are actually in perishables. They go even up to 50% when you talk about fruits and vegetables, because some of these fruits come in season. And when it is a season, the market gets flooded with oversupply, yet demand remains the same. So, Honorable Speaker, these aggregation centers are coming also to address that, because all of them will have a cold room where farmers can keep their produce, Honorable Speaker, so that we have a flat supply curve, and therefore farmers are able to fetch reasonable prices and optimal prices for their produce. Honorable Speaker, I want to request this House, as we debate this bill, you are free to debate anything about counties. It's not just about the additional revenue. You can debate anything around county governments. You can debate, as Honorable Gigi Kagombe suggested, you can debate anything about the budget, because this is also a budget-making process. So, Honorable Speaker, I thank you, and I request one of the members who have served for very many terms, I think this is the 5th term as a politician, and with a great experience on how county governments operate, because he served in the defunct municipal councils of the previous dispensation, the honorable member from Nakuru town, the chairman for mining and environment, the Honorable David Gekaria to second.
Thank you, Honorable Dede Nyoro, Chairman, Budget and Appropriation Committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We've been told we can discuss anything, which is important. As I rise to second, Honorable Speaker, the first thing that I wanted to agree with you is from the past, the former motion that was there, was about how our farmers are suffering. And it is true, Honorable Speaker. We were being given a story where in the last regime, a minister would get investors, but because he also want to do that business, he would be discussing the investors, and in one room, they are waiting in his room, and he would transfer from his room to the other until he gets the best prices for his cut. That's when now he would come back. And I totally agree, Honorable Speaker, that what you're saying, if we could be able to take that seriously, then this country and our farmers would be. I take this opportunity also to thank the Chair Budget for the good work that his team is doing. Of course, with his team, I've been able to be summoned before the committee severally. And I want to admit that this committee has pledged to be able to listen to what chairs of various committees are proposing from their respective committees, and they are taking our input into consideration when we are making some of the amendments when we are doing our budgets. And I totally want to thank you, Chairman, for the good work. And as it was said, young as you are, on your second term in this Parliament, and of course, currently now holding a very senior position in one of the very, very important committee, I want to say that you're doing, you and your committee, you are doing a good job. Honorable Speaker, when I come back to this motion, the county government additional allocation, it has been accused, the Kenya Kwanza government has been accused that we are not, we want to kill devolution. And Honorable Speaker, it is very evident that from the few months that the Kenya government, the Kenya Kwanza government has been in administration, it has actually portrayed the necessity and the need for us to improve what counties are doing in terms of, as per Schedule 4, and what counties are supposed, the responsibility of county governments. But at the same time, Honorable Speaker, it is the honors of these county governments, particularly with their respective governors, to understand that they should not always wait for monies coming from the national government. Of course, as per the Constitution, we are supposed to allocate money to county government, and this Kenya Kwanza government has been able to improve on that, and we hope it will continue increasing the allocation in the years to come. But at the same time, Honorable Speaker, these county governments have the responsibility of their own collection at their own counties. Honorable Speaker, it is so sad that these days you go to a county that it is just waiting for allocation from the national government. I want to thank a few counties, like in my county, Nakuru County, and I want to thank my governor for her resilience in not only waiting for allocations, much as they have not been received their monies from Treasury for the few days, at least whatever the governor is collecting, she is able to at least do the operations and maintenance of the county, and at the same time trying to talk to different financial institutions to be able to meet the salaries and other. And we have never, in Nakuru County, we've never had a problem in terms of where workers go on strike. So it is important for counties also to take responsibility for what they are supposed to collect as their own resources. And of course, they should be told, Honorable Speaker. Counties have had a tendency of cross-border double taxation that you find if you have an advertisement, for example, on your vehicle. Once you cross from Nakuru County to Kericho County, there are some charges that, but again, I want to say that this double taxation should be discouraged so that we can continue encouraging more business people and more investors to be able to actualize what they're, and we stop this aspect of double taxation. On regards to and of course, the chair budget has properly explained why we are giving additional resources to counties. And one of the fundamental issues, Honorable Speaker, that is the key and the backbone of this country is about the foreign funded programs, particularly on agriculture. And it is important, Honorable Speaker, that the former regime had negotiated for coolers, only for the coolers to arrive, and they were never given to counties. And I want to thank the government that it has made a commitment that these coolers, which were given as a fund by our partners, now they have found their way to various counties where they can be able to preserve. And as the chairman has indicated, a lot of our farmers do not get the potential of them maximizing what they are supposed to get from their crops. And it's, most of it is destroyed either through transportation and particularly the perishables where you are not able to preserve them in the coolers. So the actual giving of coolers and encouraging counties to be able to install this thing in various places for purposes of privatization, it will help the farmers to be able to get enough yield or a maximum input or income from their proceeds. About the relationship and partnership between the national government and the county government, Honorable Speaker, and I think that is critical, that constantly, I think the Deputy President does chair a meeting between the national government and the Council of Governors, which, of course, they discuss various issues related to the relationship between the national government and the county government. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that if we can be able to have a proper relationship between the national government and the county governments, then, Honorable Speaker, then this country will be able to. But also, Honorable Speaker, just to touch on a little bit on about the supplementary budget. And I want to thank the budget committee led by Honorable Dendinyoro. Honorable Speaker, it is important that Treasury has had that tendency of removing very important funds that are supposed to go towards addressing some key projects within various ministries. But Honorable, that committee has stood firm, and it has already given back these monies to respective ministries. Honorable Speaker, Treasury must realize that whatever is budgeted for an item has and approved by Parliament, I think committees have an opportunity to have ventilated on most of these things. And it is important for them to realize that what the Budget Committee, and I want to thank the Budget Committee for what you have done. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023, be read a second time. Yes, what is your point of order, Mr. Bowen? Honorable Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the chair of budget actually in the addressed that we reduce the publication of some bills here from 7 days to 1 day because of many other bills which are supposed to be prosecuted. Many of the members who are here also, some of them they have sat here from morning up to now, they are seeking to contribute to various bills. Mr. Speaker, would I be in order that we reduce from 10 minutes per member to 3 minutes to enable all these members to speak on these many bills?
What's your point of order, Honorable Dr. Gogo?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. It is on the same reason that I was thrown out of this house yesterday. Parliament is not going to be turned into a voting machine. We need to expedite issues through debate, through looking at the pros and cons of matters, and the world is watching us. We will not just keep passing bills and we just pass. County, additional monies that are allocated to counties is a very, very important matter. And we are not going to have members from the opposite side keep shutting down and gagging down members and changing. I belong to the House Rules and Procedures Committee. And we are not going to have the rules and procedures just changed at will, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have been in this house and in the last, what is out of order, Honorable Speaker, is that we are not going to have members keep changing House Rules and Procedures at will to make it convenient for them.
Order, Honorable Gogo. I appreciate your concerns, but on the reduction of the time that members would want to be allocated is a matter that can only be done with the leave of the House. The chair has very little, and this is at the beginning of it, and the honorable member has risen on that. I will put the question on that, and if in the wisdom of the majority of the members here, you feel you don't need 3 minutes, you need 10 minutes, then so be it. If you're going to need 3 minutes per person, per member of parliament, then it can only be done with the leave of the House. It's not them changing, that's how the rules are. Honorable members, I now put the question that the time for every member to contribute on this bill be reduced to 3 minutes. As many of the opinion say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. The House rules are set by and large when it comes to such things by the members themselves. I want you to understand the traditions. This is an area. The only time when it can get frivolous is when a matter is being debated and somebody rises and says the mover be called upon to reply. Then the chair has got the wisdom to look at the minority and the majority on both sides and then say this is a frivolous one. But on the time you need for every member of parliament to deliberate on a bill, that is by the leave of the House. Proceed. The Honorable Waluke.
Additional. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me chance also to speak. Honorable Speaker, many of us came here earlier like carried others to fill the quorum. And I concur with the Mheshimiwa Kogo, Honorable Speaker. There are members who can come even just now and are given chance, and those who came earlier can sit here for a whole day. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the bill. I want to thank the Honorable Didi Nyoro and with the committee for the time they have taken, Honorable Speaker, to bring up this budget appropriation bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this country has a lot of potential, and Mr. Speaker, if the people of this country can support agriculture the way you put it earlier on, Mr. Speaker, this country is going to move forward. I urge Kenyans and members of this House that let's be together and give space and time and support to this government, because it has just come in power the other day. And let's give it a trial, let's give it a support, our total support. And this country, I know people are feeling pain because of the economy coming down, but within a very few months or a year, Honorable Speaker, the economy of this country is going to stabilize. With these people, Didi Nyoro and the Chair of Finance, they are steady on their duty, and let us support them. Honorable Speaker, agriculture need to be supported. If the government can support a farmer, this country depends on farming. The economy of this country, Honorable Speaker, depends mostly on farming, coffee, tea, whatever. And Honorable Speaker, I believe that this year, people have been crying about anger. We are going to harvest, we are going to have pamba harvest, Mr. Speaker, of maize like where we come from. Mr. Speaker, in another maybe 2 years, we will not be crying of food shortage. And I believe and thank the President for bringing up the fertilizer to the people of this country, Honorable Speaker. And we are ready as leaders from where we come from to make sure that we work together with our
Honorable Mutunga of Tigania West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the Chairman of the Budget and Appropriation Committee for the work that has gone by, and also thank the President for guiding this committee very well. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Senate for presenting this bill to us. Additional resources to the counties, Honorable Speaker, is a good idea, but this idea must be tagged to results. Honorable Speaker, we know we have been having issues with several counties not even delivering what they are supposed to deliver. Investment must be done appropriately. We must have results for the money that we give to the counties. Honorable Speaker, in the previous government, the previous session of Parliament, we saw many investment conferences at the county level, inviting probable investors into the county to try and figure out what they can do with the resources that they have. But we have not seen these things happening this time. We would like to caution the counties to go that direction. Counties must also be having clear plans of operation besides what we call the county integrated development plan. They need to explore what resources they have so that they may be able to open up into the investment. Honorable Speaker, one of the things we hear, we understand this bill is bringing about is support to aggregation investment in aggregation. Aggregation is important in the view of what we have at the county level in terms of the kind of economic activity that farmers, our people are engaged in. Most of them are farmers and there are smallholder farmers for that matter. I would like to bring to the attention of the counties that there is a bill we passed in the last parliament, which is called the warehouse receipting law. The warehouse receipting law presupposes that people can have warehouses. We can have private or public warehouses, and these warehouses, they keep their ware, and they have a receipt. The warehouse receipt can enable one even to get a loan from the bank as a security. So they need to explore utilization of this law in these aggregation centers, where we have also possibilities for industrial parks. Honourable Speaker, post-harvest losses in this country lead up to, can go up to 40%. 40% is about half of the loss of what the farmers have already been able to produce over the years. They take at least a crop in this country will take, the fastest growing crop will take 3 months. Honourable Speaker, I think I have not spent 3 minutes. I'm sure you have taken my time. Honourable Speaker, these clauses are as a result of infestation, fungal infestations, and that can be contained through warehousing. The link between the warehousing and the receipting council is important so that they can work together. Honourable Speaker, there are a few issues that I've wanted to bring on the new big budget. When we raise money as a country, sometimes we have to borrow.
Honourable member can have one additional minute. Mutunga, proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am happy that the country is looking forward to compressing the debt burden. I'm happy that we have been able to start by, as a government, to start by assessing where we were and where we want to go. The fact that there's been a reduction from 1.1 trillion to around 700 billion in terms of the budget deficit, in terms of the borrowing, is very, very important. In the last government, Honourable Speaker, we saw a situation where a government wanted to move from the percentage, the debt percentage as expressed as a percentage of GDP, to absolute figures. When you put your debt as absolute figures, you cannot communicate to other countries because we don't use the same currency. But proportionate is important because we are able to communicate and we are able to know where we are. Honourable Speaker, finally, the counties need to clear their bills. We have many counties not clearing their bills. There are many pending bills which needs to be cleared. They also need to look at the wage bill in relation to the investment in development. Counties and support were done for investment, not necessarily.
Members, the Honorable Abdisirat Khalif.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are all aware that we are undergoing a serious credit crunch as a country. This is partly due to the fact that we have surpassed our debt ceiling. Hence, we cannot borrow competitively. Mr. Speaker, therefore, I welcome the introduction of genuine and serious taxation measures that can help the government perform its obligations. However, Mr. Speaker, we must cap wastage and use this scarce resource prudently, Mr. Speaker. As we allocate more funds to the counties, we must also introduce anti-corruption measures and serious austerity efforts to curb wastage. We are known for misusing public funds as a country, Mr. Speaker, and we need, therefore, to use this little resource where it is needed the most. We don't want a situation where we give more funds to counties and we don't ask for what we call how they use those funds. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Makali, followed by Dr. Gogo. Proceed, Honorable Makali. Dr. Makali. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on point of order number 1. Mr. Speaker, we know the chair exercises discretion in the debates in the House. But Mr. Speaker, I came to the chambers as number 2, second to Honorable George Murungaru. And I pressed the button, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, I've not been given the chance to speak, and we feel, Mr. Speaker, you need to exercise fairness. Thank you. My name is Justice Kemei, MP Sigowit Soin.
Order. To begin with, Justice Kemei, you are not the first one on this list now. There are people who are ahead of you to begin with, if I look at it. Secondly, and you have to understand this, the chair exercises discretions on a number of divides. A house is many shades of opinion. There are political parties, there are regions, their gender, all those things are there. So it's on the basis of that, in his own wisdom, that you'll get an opportunity, and you're going to get an opportunity very soon. For God's sake, on such issues, when you really want to raise it, get close to the Speaker and say, Mr. Speaker, but don't rise up there on a point of order number 1. How does it become point of order number 1? Standing order number 1. Standing order number 1. Proceed, Honorable Makali. Has somebody from Eastern Kenya, to be more precise, the south of the Eastern Kenya, ever contributed on this motion this morning? Today? No. Look at all those divides, and it's on the basis of that the Speaker has got to be very fair, and I promise you I'll be very fair. Proceed.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to add my voice to the count government's additional allocations bill. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill. Oh, I wish I had more time to talk about it, but now that the House has resoluted to have only 3 minutes, I will go by that. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a bill which allows the counties to get resources from the government, the national government, from development partners, and it is important, Honorable Speaker, we note that most of the proposed activities under these resources are very critical to the county governments because they are activities which revolve around climate change, agricultural value addition, issues of health, supporting county governments construct county headquarters, issues of industrial centers as proposed by the Kenya Kwanza government, and also some resources be directed to the informal sector improvements, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from my experience and interaction with this kind of resources in the past, we have realized that we are having some gaps. And I just want to focus on some of the gaps so that we help the process. The first one, Honorable Speaker, is we lack what we call a monitoring and evaluation framework between the two levels of government. That the national government is pushing this resource to the counties, and once the counties get the resources, there is minimal follow-up from the national government to find out whether these resources are being used for the intended purposes. Honorable Speaker, I want to single out one of these items. Support to the county government construction of headquarters. Honorable Speaker, I've been in the budget committee for the last 11 years. I can assure you, Honorable Speaker, we have been allocating money for this county headquarters for the last 5 years. And up to now, they have not been completed. We are not aware of what levels are they in, what pending balances are there to be paid, and what needs to be done to complete them. So we continue pumping money to them. And I think, Honorable Speaker, that's an area we seriously need to look at as a National Assembly and ensure that we monitor these resources so that we just don't release resources to the county governments and they don't help the county governments, Honorable Speaker. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, some of these sectors, all this money is not going to all the counties. Some money will go to selected counties, others will go to all the counties. And it is important also, Honorable Speaker, that if money is set for specific activity like climate change, that the money is also directed to that activity, because some of these counties, because of the challenges of resources.
Please give an additional minute to Honorable, additional half a minute. Proceed. Additional half a minute.
You know, Honorable Speaker, you know, this is an area of a lot of experience. It becomes very difficult to debate in. But let me just close by saying this. It is important we also make sure that we provide cash to the counties. The issue of liquidity, the exchequer releases, Honorable Speaker, is a major challenge to implementation of projects in this country.
And it is high time the Kenya Kwanza government improved from that area. I support, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Gogo, Dr. Gogo.
Thank you. I thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the guidance you've given me this morning. I highly appreciate, and I rise to support this particular motion brought by the Chair Budget. County governments are an important component of our governance structure as a country. And Honorable Speaker, it is important that they are well-resourced so that they're able to discharge their duties. Any additional money, Honorable Speaker, that is given to the county governments will allow us as a nation achieve food security, because agriculture is a devolved function. But I want to implore the county government that there are many agricultural extension officers who have been well trained by our universities and colleges to come and do extension work. And when this is done in a guided form by technocrats and people who are well versed with that area, then I think we are going to have better production in our farms and achieve food security. So how I implore the county governments that if there is any monies that are taken for agricultural improvement and improvement of the food security situation, that they should kindly employ agricultural extension and education officers. Number two, Honorable Speaker, early child education, ECD centers, are in deplorable condition in most counties, Honorable Speaker. And any additional money that is given should be taken, especially if it targets education at the earliest in the ages of our children. So it is important that more money is given to our counties, Honorable Speaker, and monies that are targeting climate change, Honorable Speaker, should be put on climate change, because climate change will always remain a current issue. And I wanted to go on record as I support this matter, that Honorable Wangare, who is a member of the panel, speakers panel, is a friend of mine, and we have done so many positive things for our constituents. So anybody like David Ochieng, who wants to come between me and Honorable Martha Wangare to throw me out of the house, it should be made known to Honorable Ochieng that I'm not his age mate. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Justice Kemei, followed by the MP for Igembe Central. Where is the MP for Igembe Central? Okay. Proceed, Justice Kemei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me. And as I speak, Mr. Speaker, I want to say I'm obliged by the direction that you've given on my previous point of intervention. Mr. Speaker, I did that because I came quite early so as to contribute on the previous motion, because I had very deep interest on that particular motion. However, Mr. Speaker, let me just make my contribution on the motion which is on at the moment. I want to join my colleagues in the National Assembly to say thank you to Honorable Ndindi Nyoro and the Honorable Kimani Kuria. The stewardship of the committees of budget and finance we must appreciate. And as we do that, Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, please, the philosophy is good. The methodology is good. Please look into implementation of the budgets that you've done. That is where we have the biggest problem in this country. Coming to this particular motion, Mr. Speaker, I support the allocation of additional funds to the county governments. If we look at the 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker, it was about three things, basically: democracy, devolution, and development. Mr. Speaker, while we support devolution and while we support additional revenue to the county governments, we must also question the use of these monies going to the county governments. And we must also question why the revenues in county governments is coming down, Mr. Speaker. We would have expected the county governments to use the money that comes from the national government to the county governments, and in addition, rely on the revenues. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I agree entirely with the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the increase on the element of monies going to agriculture. This country remains agricultural. But my worry, Mr. Speaker, is that much as we've added money to the county governments for agricultural production and productivity, we are still way behind the Maputo Declaration, which demands that we allocate 10% of our budget to the agricultural sector. You look at the budgets going to the agriculture in the county governments and the national government, it's still far below the 10% treaty which we signed. In addition, Mr. Speaker, the use of those resources of the county government cannot go on quite well if the extension officers are not there. At the moment, you can see there is no increase in productivity, there is no increase in production because the county governments don't have extension workers. Finally, Mr. Speaker, and this applies to
half a minute for Justice Kemei.
Finally, Mr. Speaker, to Ndindi Nyoro, these budgets will be meaningless unless we fight mismanagement in state corporations and in government agencies, unless we deal with issues of inefficiencies, unless we deal with issues of staffing, these budgets will be useless. So may I support Mr. Speaker, saying once more, saying thank you for you giving me the opportunity to contribute. Thank you, and thank you for the additional 1 minute. Thank you.
Before Igembe Central. Proceed. The mic, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. May I take this opportunity to congratulate the chairman, the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriation Committee for this well-placed bill. Mr. Speaker, as much as we plan on how to earn more, to allocate more funds to the county, we should think of how to raise more revenue in order to have a sustainable economy. And Mr. Speaker, to earn the revenue, we must plan on how to reduce consumption and increase production. I thank the government because it has allocated some funds and even subsidized production in fertilizers and seeds, the work which is being very well done by the Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Lentori. Congratulations to the government for this. Mr. Speaker, the funds that are allocated to the counties mostly is sent to be going to the agriculture, and it should improve mostly on even on infrastructure to the agricultural areas. For example, in my constituency, there is an area around Goyoyo, Dambero, and Kajo, where we produce a lot of mangoes and even pineapples, but the roads are impassable. The county should take charge of those roads through these funds so that the farming should be beneficial to the farmers to increase the more needed revenue in order to improve on this cash. Mr. Speaker, we also have to target more on how we can export more. Mr. Speaker, the area where I come from, we produce a lot of miraa and we have a lot of market outside. We will challenge the government to improve on export, especially in an area in Djibouti where we have a market of more than 6 tons that has not been exploited, and it could be raising a lot of money to earn to this kitty, because we need to earn more revenue so that this allocation can be meaningful. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as much as I congratulate the committee, I also need to work to challenge so that we work more on improving on our reducing the corruption, so that every shilling goes to the projects and area where it's meant to go, so that the common mwananchi can benefit from these additional allocations that we are giving to the counties, and the benefit should go to the mwananchi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Women Rep for Kisii, Donya Doris, followed by the MP for Lagdera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support when we are dealing with county issues, because Donya standing here comes from Kisii County, where we have good rains. If we can practice good irrigation, Kisii County itself can supply Kenya, the whole of Kenya, with food. We are blessed with good rains and even natural stones Honorable Osoro's constituency, which is South Mugirango, has the best soapstone. We wonder why even the ministry can't do anything about these soapstones. Meaning, if Kisii has proper irrigation, we have good roads, then the government does something on the soapstone, we feed the whole of Kenya and even our neighboring countries. Our food baskets will be full. When we add a combination of what we love from Trans Nzoia, they plant a lot of maize, counties to do with the counties like Kakamega, we will have enough. It's only that we don't do our calculations well. We miss a little. Just as I can give example, when I was looking at the budget, Mr. Speaker, they allocated 940 million to the Ministry of Education to deal with the issues of sanitary pads. I just want to elaborate on, we have misplaced priorities. You give the Ministry of Education to handle an issue that can be handled by women reps. So in essence, what does Donya mean? If we do the right thing, we allocate resources to the right places, we will not be begging, no one will be complaining. Even the demonstrations that happen in our country, it's because people are hungry, people are suffering. If people have jobs, they will have no time to participate in these things. So as I sit down and donate some minutes to other members, let us have priorities fit in a particular place than misplacing everything that can help our people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Honorable Abdikadir of Lagdera, followed by the women rep for Bomet, followed by the Honorable Murugara Rakanidi.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Proceed. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, County Government Additional Allocation Bill. Mr. Speaker, as you know, as the pastoral community, we had a very long period of drought and famine. Most of the livestock has been wiped out, such that now our people are turning into agropastoralists. I see we have allocated resources to the county government, and these resources mostly on agriculture and livestock improvement. But we have one problem. We have a problem with the counties. Counties have no accountability. They're becoming rogue counties. There's lack of accountability, there's lack of planning, such that these resources you are allocating might be misused. I fear, most of this money allocated is loans and finance from World Bank and some other donors. And these loans, we are going to pay for it. But once these loans are not utilized properly, we are going to pay for loans which had no impact completely. So what I will urge is that counties must be accountable. We do support them for allocation of this money, but they must be accountable also. They must be accountable. They must be also using this money in a manner that will have impact on our communities. Otherwise, we just take loans, just like the previous governments. These loans are being misused, and then we have nothing to show off. Mr. Speaker, I think for the purpose of planning, the government should know now that 50% of pastoralists nowadays are becoming agro-pastoralists. They should plan on that. They should plan and allocate resources on agro-pastoralists. We have one big problem is that we don't have rains. I mean, the farming there is based on irrigation. So if we don't improve our irrigation, if we don't put a lot of resources on irrigation, it means that this will also fail. Mr. Speaker, I do support. Thank you.
Order, the Honorable Murugara. Did I say Murugara or which was coming first? The Bomet. I thought I had given it to the woman rep Bomet and then you follow. Proceed. Toto, you want to donate it to Murugara? Then proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to also raise and contribute. I want to join my colleagues and say I really support this motion of the equalization fund to our counties. You realize, Mr. Speaker, most of the counties, they are doing so badly because of inadequate resources. I want to talk of the issue of electricity, Mr. Speaker. You realize in my sub-county where I come from, even in my home area, there is no electricity. And we have very many youths who are just finished school. They could have been doing welding, kinyozi, and other activities, Mr. Speaker, than going to Bomet town where there is stiff competition. Mr. Speaker, you realize also in Bomet County, some of the hospitals, they are not doing well because of lack of resources. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion. We also support the issue of agriculture, where we will have solved the issue of food security, and we will have solved the issue of unemployment. Mr. Speaker, I want to donate my minutes to Women Rep Elkeo Marakwe. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Order the Honorable proceed. You can donate this. Honorable Murugara. Honorable Murugara, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened carefully to the debate, and I've also looked at the order paper at order number 12. I wish to donate my time to the House and then stand up under standing order number 95 so that we call upon the mover to reply and we go to the very important matters.
Order, you are given an opportunity to contribute. You did not rise on a standing order. So if you
thank you very much.
You can sit down and then go on a standing order.
I donate that to the House so that we are able to move on. Point of order.
What's your point of order? Aika, what's your point of order? It is. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know my voice is so loud, so when I'm not heard, I understand. The mic was not working. Mr. Speaker, what we are discussing, Mr. Speaker, has a time limit. We cannot be doing an exercise in futility. By end of financial year, we ought to have finished this. Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on a point of order 95.
Okay.
That the mover to be called to reply.
Be
Thank
called
you.
upon to reply, that's all. Okay. And order. First of all, before I make a decision on that, I want to recognize the presence of Udhiru Genesis School, who are in the gallery here, and we welcome them. Please welcome the school of Kikuyu constituency, none other than the majority leader's constituency. I am talking about a school from your constituency and you're on the phone. The Honorable Chungwa Kimani. Now, the other school that I'm going to recognize, which you have to welcome, is the Nginda Mixed Secondary School of Maragua. Please welcome that school. The young boys and girls from those schools, we welcome you. You see a good example. You're the future leaders. Thank you. Now you can rise on your point of order. Again, you said your point of order? Your point of order was done. Taken, well taken. Well taken. Order. You don't say order, Speaker. Order. I now propose the question that the mover be called upon to reply. I now put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. As men out appearance say aye. Aye. As men of contrary appearance say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, there are other bills that are coming, and since they're all interrelated, the chair will certainly make a point of giving you who have not had an opportunity to contribute on this to contribute on the next one.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would really have wished to donate time, but at the 95 you cannot donate time, honorable members. And therefore, I want to thank all the members for their contributions on the county government additional allocation bill, which we were in the second reading. And Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the county government additional allocation bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023, be read a second time. As men after appearance say aye. Aye. As men of contrary appearance say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for additional allocations to county governments for the 2023-2024 financial year, the responsibilities of national government and county governments pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes. Order number 12,
Next
Committee
order, yeah.
of the Whole House.
Honorable members, be standing.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole House to consider 4 bills. And the one we are going to start with, honorable members, is the Supplementary Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023.
Clauses 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I propose the question that clause 2, 3, 4, and 5 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 2, 3, 4, and 5 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
First and second schedules.
Honorable members, I propose that the question that the first and the second schedule be part of the bill. Honorable members, I now put the question that the first and the second schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now call upon the mover to move reporting. Honorable Dindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Supplementary Appropriations Number 2 Bill, that is National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments.
I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, having completed that, now we go to the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 27 of 2023.
Clauses 2, 3, and 4.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clauses 2, 3, and 4 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clauses 2, 3, and 4 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Schedule.
Honorable members, I propose that the schedule be part of the bill. There is an amendment. Mover, the chair, Honorable Dindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move the following amendments: that the schedule on the appropriations bill, that is Bill 23 for financial year 2023-2024, be amended as it appears in the order paper, and especially on vote D1094, Honorable Chair, and then B R2041, Honorable Chair, and R2044. The ramification of this, Honorable Chair, starting with the latest that I just mentioned, it is tidying up the budget for the Parliamentary Service Commission, which usually happens as we refine the appropriations bill, Honorable Chair, to place the figures where they should be. So there is not much movement. Where there is something that members could note is on D1094. Members, as you are aware, we passed the finance bill yesterday, And in that finance bill, there is the housing levy that is there. And that housing levy is now a revenue stream. That amount that we are raising from the housing levy is money that would be going into the housing programs in this Republic of Kenya. So basically what we are doing is to be able to apportion the same amount we are raising on that side of revenue to apportion the same on this side of expenditure. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and I move the amendment.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I rise to support that particular amendment. And Chair, you remember yesterday, and I think it was, I don't know if it was a county MP for Kisii or another member.
Honorable members, I propose that the schedule be amended as proposed by the chair. Majority Leader, you may proceed now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Sorry, I started contributing before you proposed. Honorable Chair, I was saying I was rising to support that amendment because, Honorable Speaker, Chair, you remember yesterday, I was saying I don't know if it was a member for Kisii who asked whether, no, it was the minority whip who drew reference to the railway development levy and said at some point in 2018 when RDL was created, it was sold as something that would help to settle the Chinese loans on SGR, and later it was opened up. And this amendment, as I promised the House yesterday, is to basically buttress what we were saying yesterday, that we will ring fence the housing fund to ensure that this money goes to no other purpose. Because once this money now is appropriated, is collected and it goes into the consolidated fund, without being appropriated to the relevant line ministry, then that money can go into debt payments, it can go to construction of roads, it can go to payment of free primary education or other government uses. But through this amendment, we are now ring-fencing this money and ensuring that all the money that will be raised out of the 1.5% on the housing fund will go to the budget of the Ministry of Housing to help actualize that dream for housing and that agenda for housing. And Chair, as was indicated by the Chair of the Housing Committee yesterday and during the second reading, the first batch of 100 units per constituency, and I'm told by the ministry the first 29 constituencies are actually ready, including members from our friends in Azimio. And I'm told even the leader of minority has submitted his list of land, public land, where affordable housing can be done. And therefore, that's why, Honorable Speaker, I was thanking members yesterday during third reading of the finance bill that indeed, even those who publicly oppose the housing fund, when it comes to the actualization and implementation of these projects, they're in support because they know it is a good thing for this country. And I want to encourage all the members of parliament who are here to identify public land where in your constituencies you can implement the housing agenda. 100 units in your constituency will create a minimum of 800 to 1,000 jobs for young men and women back in your own constituency. And I must tell the people of Kikuyu, the land at the new DCC's office has already been earmarked for the first 200 units. And young men and women from Kikuyu constituency will be able to access jobs. And it's not just what was being sold in the political bashing of the finance bill, that it is just manual jobs for the people who are saying watu wa kukoroga. It is from architects, engineers, electricians, even land surveyors who will have to demarcate part of the lands that we are planning to construct on, lawyers who will also benefit from the conveyancing that will come out of the processes of sale of the units that will be sold. And above all, Honorable Chair, the urbanization that comes with the units in each of the constituencies where these units will be built. That urbanization will also help to consolidate land and afford the people in those constituencies more land for agriculture to secure our food situation in the country. And therefore, I support this amendment, and I am glad that the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee has done exactly what we promised yesterday during the third reading of the finance bill, that this money will not just disappear in some pot. It will be earmarked for actual construction of houses. And I can tell everybody to now watch this space as construction equipment and young men and women get employed as construction equipment rowers in Kisii County, where, like in Kiambu County, people are very congested. And I hope now Honorable Ndonya, the women for Kisii, will be able to see the real benefits of what we did yesterday in the finance bill and support implementation of these projects. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable members, if you wish to speak to this amendment, kindly hit the intervention button. And I can see the Honorable Dr. Pukose.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to support the amendment by the Chair Budget Committee on this. Honorable Chair, the housing fund is actually, as the majority leader has put it, is actually one of the key projects that is going to unlock the economy of this country. It has many benefits in that those who will benefit directly, right from the construction, the plumbers, the masons, the carpenters, electricians, and then those who will benefit indirectly, the architects, those who will be selling the materials for which this is going to be used. And you remember in many of the public participations, people have insisted that we would want the materials that are going to be used in these projects to be sourced from the surrounding community. So it is going to benefit them. And I think I also want to laud, yesterday we saw the amendment that was done in the EBZ zones, where now they'll have to source materials or the materials from within without paying any taxation. So I think when you look at the amendments, when you look at the bills that this government is doing, I think we are on the right track. And I would just want to ask Kenyans that let's be patient. Let's put our foots together. Let's come up together as a team, and this country will be great. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, I want to support.
Thank you. The Honorable Nyakundi, member for Kitutu Chache North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to support this amendment by Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, who is the chairman for the Budget and Appropriations Committee. For sure, they have done a good job. Housing is one of the key development factors for the Kenya Kwanza government, and I want to support this amendment because they have decided to ring-fence this money that is going to the housing project, and these will go a long way in giving jobs to the young people who are suffering outside here and creating a lot of employment and households to young people who don't have houses. For a good example, like in Kisii, we have shortage of land. These will go a long way in giving houses to the young people in our area. And I'm very sure that Kenya is going to be a construction site, and many young people are going to benefit from this housing levy. So I want to thank you and so much. Thank you.
The Honorable Beatrice Elachi, on my left.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I also want to support this amendment. And Chair, I know every Kenyan would wish to have a house. And I support. And I'm in Nairobi. And I have seen the houses. All I'm saying is when we are building these houses, and Parliament must help so that public service or public works should not bring in specs where you look at a house and you wonder, was it a kiosk
or was it a house? Today, if you go to Pangani, affordable housing, you will find those houses and you'll feel it is not right for any Kenyan to buy such a house. When you walk into the project that is being done by China, we with government now, it is unfortunate. And so we are saying, let us look at the specs. Let us support housing, but housing of dignity, and ensure, even as we build, we remember we have children. Let us remember we need schools for those housing, because you bring in more, they will come in. We must have all the facilities that is needed. So as I support, and I support the president, and I told him, I support housing, but I want to see dignity for every Kenyan as they live in that house, so that we don't bring a house again that will become a white elephant for our people. So with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, as I support indeed the amendments of the chair and appreciating him, and also we speak about the county governments. Let us see the governors coming up with good memorandums with the national government, so that we don't go into a fight the way we did the health equipment thing, and then now at few years down the line, we start again pulling each other on the same projects. So let us have clear memorandums with the county governments, so that we do a good project that everyone will feel their money was spent well. With those few remarks, I beg to support.
Thank you. Lastly, Honorable Mother Wangari.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also rise to support this amendment and concur with many members who have spoken to it, that we are going to make a difference using this levy. But more importantly, Madam Chair, this will be a shared function between the national government and the county government. So after here, what we shall be dealing with, and we should be dealing with, is the implementation, and that cooperation with the counties, Madam Chair, must also benefit the specific county where these projects will be done. The issues of sourcing labor, the issue of sourcing materials, the issues of getting even the workforce, Madam Chair, must be able to benefit the specific area that those projects will be done. But more importantly, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, is that going forward, even as we debate even the county allocations, what we have to stem and deal with is the issue of corruption and proliferation, or rather proliferation of funds that are meant to do projects that are to benefit the public. Because, Madam Chair, this has been a very tough year, last year too, and we are having very tough times for the public. We cannot afford to have any corruption in these monies, Madam Chair, and I hope that the stringent measures we will put, we will also be able to oversight as a house from both sides and as a parliament. Same to the counties, that the Senate and the county assemblies will also be able to oversight the county's monies, so that we are able to make sure that every shilling that is meant to go to benefit a Kenyan does not go to any pocket of an individual, and will be able to get the benefit and value for money. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put the question that the schedule be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay, that the schedule be amended? As amended, I take that again. I put the question that the schedule as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, this brings us to the end of that particular bill. I now call upon the mover to move reporting. Honorable Chair, Budget Committee, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the appropriation bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you, Chair. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the appropriation bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Thank you, honorable members. We are still in the Committee of the Whole, and we move to the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023.
Clauses 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Very well. Very well. Yes. Honruku.
Mr. Speaker, I propose an amendment which is not yet ready, and I request if this equalization let me execute my position. The reason as why I propose an amendment, Mr. Speaker, is because Bere community, or Bere North, is one of very marginalized communities we have in the Republic of Kenya, and when I went through the bill, there is nowhere. Bere North is not included in that equalization bill. Mr. Speaker, you realize that when you talk about the agroecological zones, Bere North is one of semi-arid area in the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, if there is a place where we have been marginalized by even the previous regimes, it is Bere North community, as well as Bere South.
Order, Honorable
I therefore...
Order, Honorable Ruku. You know very well you are out of order. You are not the mover of this bill, so you cannot make an amendment on the floor. We may proceed. Honorable members, I propose the question that clauses 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 be part of the bill. Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question that clause 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the schedule be the schedule of the bill. Members, I now put the question that the schedule be the schedule of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I propose that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover, please. Do the report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill, that is Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Thank you. I now put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Thank you, honorable members. We move to another one, and please stay in the House, it's not very long. We move to the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023.
Clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Very well. I propose the question that clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 be part of the bill. There being no amendments, I now put the question that clauses 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 be part of the bill. Will as many are of that opinion say aye? Will as many are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
First schedule.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the first schedule be the schedule of the bill. I now put the question that the first schedule be the schedule of the bill. Will as many are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Second schedule.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the second schedule be part of the bill. I now put the question that the second schedule be part of the bill. Will as many are as of that opinion say aye? Will as many are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose that the title be the title of the bill. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many are as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover, report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House in its consideration of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, that is Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments.
I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order, honorable members. The chairperson to report to the House. Proceed, Honorable Ndini Nyoro.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, that is Supplementary Appropriations number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023. I also request Honorable John Jogona Wajiko to second the motion for agreement with the report of the committee of the whole House.
Proceed, Honorable Wajiko.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, you can bow as a way of just... proceed, they're bullying you. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I was misguided by my seniors in the House, but I rise to second the bill, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
And your honorable members, when you bow, that is already seconding. But you can have it both ways, don't worry. I now propose a question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I now put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many of the opinions say aye. As many contrary opinions say nay. The ayes have it. The mover of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriations number 2 Bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023, be now read a third time. I also request Honorable Jane Kihara of Naivasha to second.
Proceed, Honorable Jane Kihara. You can say a little more. Now we know you wanted to say a lot. Proceed and second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I second, I want to congratulate the Chair Budget for the great work that he has done. Being the first budget of Kenya Kwanza government, the committee has done a marvelous job, and I beg to second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Supplementary Appropriation number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023, be now read a third time. Honorable members, I now put the question. I have confirmed we have the requisite quorum. I therefore put the question, which is that the Supplementary Appropriation number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2023 be now read a third time. As many of the opinions say aye. As many of the contrary opinions say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of Parliament to authorize the issue of certain sums of money out of the consolidated fund and the application towards the service of the year ending on the 30th June 2023, and to appropriate those sums for certain public services purposes.
Next order. Yeah. Next order. Oh, sorry. Honorable members, the chairperson now to proceed and report. For the next bill. Okay, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report to the committee. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023.
Order. Do it again. Do it now.
I start it again, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, and approved the same without amendments.
The mover, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are now regularizing on this particular one. Yes. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also, again, request Honorable John Jogona Wajiko to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the bill and also congratulate the Committee of the Whole House for the job well done, and I second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many of the opinion say aye. As many contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriation Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 31 of 2023, be now read at that time. I also request Honorable Jane Kihara to second.
I second, Mr. Speaker.
You have to repeat that. Repeat. Which is 27? You said 31. Is that 27 or 31? So you better go and say for 27, because you said 31. Yes, yes. Yeah. Proceed. Yeah. For 27. He has reported just to regularize it. And we've done supplementary. You proceed now and report.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 27 of 2023, and approved the same with amendments.
Move the agreement. The mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also, Honorable Speaker, request Honorable Ridikri Muruidania to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many of the opinion say aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 27 of 2023 be now read at that time. I also request the Honorable Janet of Tarbo constituency to second.
Proceed, Janet.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Budget and Appropriation Committee for the well thought out report, and I second Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, be now read a third time. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, be now read a third time. As many of the opinion say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issuance of a sum of money out of the consolidated fund and its application towards the service of the year ending 30th June 2024, and to appropriate that sum and a sum voted on account by the National Assembly for certain public services and purposes.
Bill number 3. The Honorable Chairperson, proceed. Report to the House.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request the Honorable KJ John Kerry to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And as I second this, it is to put it on record that this House has done its bit on the most important business of the legislature, which is appropriating monies and working on the budget. But this House has further work to do on oversight, that even us who are on the government side would like to say that after the appropriation, we shall be extremely vigilant with the executive, with Treasury, with the ministers, to ensure that each and every single coin that we have appropriated goes to its intended use and is not misappropriated after we appropriate. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I second.
Are you on a point of order? You're on a point of order. Order, order, order. What's your point of order? What's out of order?
Mr. Speaker, the Commission on Revenue of the Republic is completely out of order.
Order, out of order. You're out of order. This is not the place to deliberate on that one. We have order. Order, order, honorable members, order. Honorable members, I now order. You can take your annoyment in another form. Your annoyance or your disappointment. I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Order. Honorable members, I now put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill, that is Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, be now read at that time. I also request the Honorable Major Sheikh Bashir to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want this opportunity to thank the Chair and the committee for a thorough job. And as I second this very important bill, I want to urge the counties to ensure that monies that we have appropriated are utilized properly for the services of the people that need them. So I support and I second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, be now read a third time. Honorable members, order. I've confirmed the quorum. I therefore put the question, which is that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, be now read a third time. As many as of the opinion say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of a sum of money out of the equalization fund and its application towards the service of the year ending 30th June 2023 to appropriate that sum for certain public basic services and for connected purposes.
The chairperson to report to the House on the county allocation. Of the
Mike.
bill.
Very well, Honorable Speaker.
Where are you?
I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the county allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments.
The mover. Honorable Ndindi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request the Honorable Duncan Mainamadenge, DMM of Nyeri Town, to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the report of the committee and agree with the Committee of the Whole House on the appropriations, additional appropriations to the county governments. However, Mr. Speaker, it is important that the county governments appropriate the money in the key areas of the devolved functions. It is quite unfortunate, like a hospital like PGH Nyeri today is sending patients to go and buy IV fluid from private chemists, yet the House has allocated funds to the counties and even additional funding. It is important also that there is timeliness from the Treasury in disbursing money to counties. And on this one, we are giving notice to the Treasury that we will insist that the services that are devolved are correctly funded at the right time. Lastly, the county governments must ring-fence funds that are allocated for particular functions. The issue of deviating funds from the functions they were intended should be discouraged. And finally, the issue of pending bills in counties. We are allocating extra funds to the counties. We are appropriating money to the counties, yet our people continue to suffer in counties because they have rendered services but are not paid. This is no longer untenable, and I wish that this House becomes more adamant and firm in ensuring that at the end of the tenure of each financial year, county governments should not roll over pending bills. I second, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members, I now propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I now put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as the opinion say aye. Aye. As many as the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 6 of 2023, be now read at that time. I also request the Vice Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Mary Amase, to second.
Mary Amase. Proceed. Can you give her the mic, the honorable member?
Thank you, Chair. As I second, I also wish to reiterate that county governments must make sure that the monies that this bill is seeking to have released from the consolidated fund is utilized for the purposes intended. And pending bills should be given a fast charge so that we do not have our contractors being auctioned, losing businesses, committing suicide. They must pay pending bills. Thank you. I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, be now read a third time. The tradition is between the proposal and the putting, you take a seat and you look both sides. I don't know whether it has changed in the last 10 years. Anyway, I now put the question, which is that the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, be now read a third time. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion, say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county governments for the 2023-2024 financial year, the responsibilities of national and county government pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes.
Honorable members, I want to recognize the presence of a very good, well-known national school, Mango High School, students from Mango High School. In the public gallery, the school is a national school, but based in Kiambu. I don't know who is the member of parliament for that area. But the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I give you an opportunity to say something.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I really felt I had a debt to really thank these members, Honorable Speaker, because what we have just done today is a culmination of a very long journey that we started last year in the terms of budget making process. Honorable Speaker, this House together, we considered all the processes, including the BPS, Honorable Speaker, including recently the estimates, and now we have passed the appropriations bill. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank these members for their invaluable support in terms of opinions and in terms of ideas and also in terms of their time. To all honorable members, some who actually left their lunch on the plate to come so that we finish up with this motion, thank you all members and thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You're on a point of order. Oh, you want me to give you an opportunity to say something? Proceed and say something, but nothing to do with the business that already is transacted.
Honorable Speaker, this is House of Record. I would want to go on record having said that the community known as Bere has been discriminated in the equalization fund.
Order. You do that in a order. You do that in a general debate. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, freeze. And order. I also want to thank the honorable members on behalf of the Speaker's panel to thank you for a very interesting, very clearly full of content debate. I have seen many debates in this country, in this parliament, for a very long time, and I haven't seen one as engaging and as brilliant in many senses as it is. And I am encouraged. I can see the future of our country and the future of the young budding leaders who are here now is very good. This country is in safe hands. Now, having said that, honorable members, please be standing now. Honorable members, the time being 1:23 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Thursday, June the 22nd at 2:30 p.m.